Hey there, friends. Picture yourself walking into a lively networking event. Maybe it's a swanky conference in Los Angeles, a cozy startup meetup in London, or even a virtual happy hour on Zoom with professionals from across the globe. Your heart's racing just a bit, the room's buzzing with chatter, and you're wondering, how do I make a connection that actually means something? We've all been there, haven't we? That moment when you want to stand out, spark a conversation, and leave a lasting impression. Well, today, I'm absolutely pumped to share a treasure trove of wisdom that's been transforming lives for decades. The brilliant, timeless techniques of Dale Carnegie, straight from his masterpiece, How to Win Friends and Influence People. These aren't just tips. They're like a superpower for building authentic, meaningful relationships in our crazy, connected world. So grab a comfy spot, maybe a warm drink, and let's dive deep into how Carnegie's ideas can light up your networking game and help you thrive. I'll never forget the first time I cracked open How to Win Friends and Influence People. I was in my mid-20s, fresh into the workforce, and let's be honest, I was clueless about networking. I'd go to events, stammer through small talk, and leave feeling like I'd missed every opportunity. Then I found this book, which has sold over 30 million copies since 1936, and been translated into countless languages. That's not just a book, it's a movement. As I read, I realized Carnegie wasn't handing out stuffy advice or manipulative tricks. He was sharing simple, profound truths about human connection. Truths that work whether you're at a tech conference in Silicon Valley, a creative workshop in Sydney, or just chatting with a colleague over coffee. His ideas are like a warm hug and a pep talk rolled into one, and I can't wait to walk you through them. Let's kick things off with one of Carnegie's most life-changing principles. Become genuinely interested in other people. He wrote, "You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you." When I first read this, it was like a light bulb went off. Think about how we often approach networking. We're tempted to lead with our resume. "Hi, I'm so-and-so, I do this, hire me." But Carnegie says, slow down. Instead of pitching yourself, get curious. Ask questions. Really listen. I saw this magic in action at a digital marketing summit in Miami a few years ago. I was surrounded by industry pros, feeling like I didn't belong. Instead of trying to impress, I decided to try Carnegie's approach. I walked up to a guy at a breakout session and said, "Hey, I'm new to this. What's been the highlight of the summit for you?" His face lit up. He started telling me about a talk on data analytics that blew his mind. I asked, "Oh, that sounds awesome. What was the big takeaway?" We ended up talking for 20 minutes, and by the end, he was asking me about my work. A week later, he emailed me about a freelance opportunity, all because I showed I cared about his story. This isn't just a feel-good trick. Science backs it up. A 2017 study from Harvard University found that people who ask more questions in conversations, especially follow-ups, are seen as more likable. The researchers called it the likability of listening. When you show genuine curiosity, you're not just gathering info, you're building trust. And trust is the glue that holds any great network together. So next time you're at an event or on a call, try this. Ask, what's something you're excited about in your work right now? Or what brought you here today? Then listen like it's the most interesting thing you've ever heard. It's like unlocking a door to a deeper connection. Now let's talk about another Carnegie gem. Make people feel important, and do it sincerely. He said, "The desire to be important is the deepest urge in human nature." This isn't about fake compliments or schmoozing. It's about seeing someone's value and letting them know it. In How to Win Friends and Influence People, Carnegie shares a story about Charles Schwab, a steel magnate who earned $1 million salary in the 1920s, unheard of at the time. Schwab's secret wasn't just business smarts. It was his knack for appreciation. He once said, "The way to develop the best that is in a person is by appreciation and encouragement." This hit home for me. I started experimenting with it at a co-working space in Austin. I met a woman who was launching a sustainable fashion brand. Instead of diving into my own work, I said, "I saw your Instagram post about your eco-friendly fabrics. That's so inspiring. What got you started on this?" She beamed and told me about her passion for the environment. That one moment of appreciation led to a coffee chat, and later, she invited me to a panel she was hosting. It was a small gesture, but it built a bridge. There's research behind this too. A 2016 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology showed that when people feel recognized, it boosts their oxytocin levels, the feel-good hormone tied to bonding. So when you make someone feel valued, you're creating a chemical connection. Here's a tip. When you meet someone, find one thing to appreciate. Maybe it's their creativity, their energy, or even their sharp questions. Say, "I love how passionate you are about this. It's contagious." Keep it real, and watch how it transforms the vibe. It's like adding a splash of color to a gray day. Let's move to something so simple yet so powerful. Smile and use people's names. Carnegie wrote, "A person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Pair that with a genuine smile, and you've got a winning combo." In his book, Carnegie tells how President Theodore Roosevelt made a point to remember the names of everyone he met, from aides to everyday folks. That personal touch made people feel special, and it helped him build a massive network of loyal supporters. I started doing this after reading Carnegie, and it's like a secret weapon. At a tech meetup in Denver, I met a guy named Ethan. I said, "Great to meet you, Ethan." And later, "That's such a cool idea, Ethan, tell me more." Every time I used his name, I could see him relax a bit. We ended up grabbing drinks after the event, and he's since become a go-to contact for industry insights. It's such a small thing, but it lands big. Science agrees. A 2006 study from the University of Texas found that hearing your own name activates brain regions tied to identity and reward. It's like a mini dopamine hit. And smiling? A 2011 study in psychological science showed that genuine smiles, the ones that crinkle your eyes, make you seem more trustworthy and approachable. So when you meet someone, flash a warm smile and say, "Hi, I'm your name. So nice to meet you, Olivia." It's like rolling out the welcome mat for a new connection. Now, let's dive into a principle that's super relevant today. Avoid arguments. Carnegie said, "The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it." In our polarized world, where debates flare up in meetings on X, or even at family dinners, this is gold. In his book, Carnegie shares a story about a dinner party where he disagreed with a guest about a literary quote. Instead of arguing, he said, "I might be wrong, let's check." They looked it up. Carnegie was right, but the other guy didn't feel attacked. They became friends instead of rivals. I tried this at a project meeting in Seattle. Two team members were clashing over a budget issue. Instead of jumping in, I said, "I hear both of you, and we all want this project to succeed. Can we find a middle ground?" By focusing on shared goals, I helped them move forward without drama. A 2018 study in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that people who use integrative conflict strategies, like finding common ground, are seen as more competent and likable. So, next time you're in a heated moment, try this. Pause, breathe, and say, "I see your point. Let's figure out what we can agree on." It's like turning a tug-of-war into a team effort. Another Carnegie classic is let others talk about themselves. He wrote, "If you want to be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener." In his book, he tells of meeting a botanist at a dinner party. Carnegie knew zilch about plants, but he asked questions and listened as the botanist raved about exotic flowers. By the end, the botanist told everyone Carnegie was a most interesting conversationalist, even though Carnegie barely spoke. This is networking magic. At a startup pitch event in Boston, I met a woman working in renewable energy. I asked, "What's the most exciting breakthrough in your field right now?" She launched into a passionate explanation, and I kept it going with, "That's incredible. How did you get into this?" We talked for 25 minutes, and she later invited me to a clean tech webinar. I didn't say much, but I left a big impression by letting her shine. There's a psychological reason this works. A 2014 study in social psychological and personality science found that when people share about themselves, it triggers self-disclosure reciprocity, making them trust you more. It's like a trust-building loop. So ask open-ended questions like, "What's a project you're proud of?" Or what's been a highlight of your year? Then sit back and listen. You'll be amazed at how people light up. Let's talk about encouraging people to share their ideas. Carnegie said, "Let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers." In his book, he describes how a businessman named Edward Harriman wanted to redesign his office, but was getting pushback from his team. Instead of dictating changes, Harriman asked his staff for suggestions. They came up with ideas that matched his vision, and because they felt ownership, they were all in. The project was a hit. I saw this work at a community event in Chicago. I was part of a planning committee, and we were stuck on how to boost attendance. Instead of pushing my plan, I said, "What do you all think we could do to make this event amazing?" One teammate suggested a live music idea that was better than mine. I said, "That's brilliant, let's run with it." The event was a success, and the team felt proud because it was their idea. A 2019 study in organizational behavior and human decision processes found that when people feel their ideas are valued, they're more motivated and collaborative. So when you're networking, ask, "What do you think about this?" Or any ideas on how to tackle this. It's like giving someone a stage to shine, and it builds loyalty. Now let's bring Carnegie into the digital age. Networking today isn't just face-to-face. It's LinkedIn messages, Zoom calls, and Instagram DMs. But his principles still shine. Take showing genuine interest. When I reach out on LinkedIn, I never send a generic "let's connect." Instead, I write, "Hi Daniel, your post about AI ethics was so thought-provoking, loved your take. Would love to chat more." A 2020 LinkedIn report found that personalized messages get 15% higher response rates. That's Carnegie's wisdom just online. On Zoom, I use names and smile to set a warm tone. I'll say, "Great to see you, Sophie." Or "That's a fantastic point, Liam." It makes virtual meetings feel human. And on social media, I leave meaningful comments. If someone shares a work win, I write, "That's incredible, Rachel. How did you pull that off?" These small acts turn digital interactions into real relationships. Carnegie's book is full of stories that show the ripple effect of these principles. One of my favorites is about a manager named Frank who struggled to motivate his sales team. Carnegie suggested he start each day by greeting his team by name, asking about their lives, and appreciating their efforts. Within a month, morale skyrocketed and sales followed. That's the power of small, consistent actions. Here's another principle. Be sympathetic to others' ideas and desires. Carnegie wrote, "3/4 of the people you will ever meet are hungering for sympathy. Give it to them, and they will love you." In his book, he tells of a lawyer who won a tough case by listening to the opposing side's concerns and showing he understood their perspective. That empathy built trust, and they settled amicably. I tried this at a networking lunch in San Francisco. A colleague was stressed about a tight deadline. Instead of offering solutions, I said, "That sounds really tough. I bet you're juggling a lot. How are you holding up?" She opened up, and we bonded over the challenges of work-life balance. That moment of empathy turned a casual chat into a real connection. A 2020 study in emotion found that expressing empathy increases likability and strengthens relationships. So when someone shares a struggle, try saying, "I can imagine that's tough. How are you managing?" It's like offering a hand to hold. Let's wrap up with one more. Dramatize your ideas. Carnegie said, "This is the day of dramatization. Merely stating a truth isn't enough. You have to make it vivid." In his book, he shares how a salesman sold more insurance by telling a gripping story about a client who benefited from a policy, instead of just listing benefits. The story stuck and sales soared. I used this at a pitch event in New York. Instead of dryly explaining my project, I told a story apps like crazy to tell a story about a client's transformation. The audience was hooked, and I got funding because the story made the idea come alive. A 2015 study in marketing science found that storytelling increases engagement by making information more memorable. So when networking, share a quick story. Instead of saying, "I'm a consultant," say, "Last week, I helped a client double their sales. It was so exciting to see their team light up." It's like painting a picture people can't forget. So why does all this matter? Because networking isn't just about swapping business cards or landing a job. It's about building a web of relationships that enrich your life. Carnegie's techniques help you do that authentically, by being curious, kind, and real. They're about creating moments that matter, whether it's a warm smile, a thoughtful question, or a sincere compliment. Here's my challenge. Try one Carnegie principle this week. Ask a great question at your next meeting. Smile and use someone's name on a Zoom call. Send a personalized LinkedIn message. Start small but keep going. Over time, you'll see your network grow, your confidence soar, and your life light up with meaningful connections. Carnegie said, "Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get." His techniques aren't just about getting ahead. They're about finding joy in connecting with others. So go out there, be your warmest self, and watch the world open up. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you try these ideas, let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, keep connecting, keep shining, and keep being you. See you soon.